everyone, it's Amber from Sustainable Jungle, where we share sustainability tips, tricks, hacks, products, brands, and stories to better our planet. And today, I'm here to talk to you about what to do with all of those unwanted, unworn clothes sitting in your closet. Now, we're actually huge proponents of reselling unwanted clothing. Why? Because it's actually the best way to responsibly deal with things you no longer want to wear. While donating to those in need is wonderful, the trouble is that only 20% of items donated to thrift and charity shops actually end up finding a second home. Reselling, however, ensures that item is going somewhere where it's definitely wanted. And we're not complaining about having a little extra pocket change in return. Now, there are tons of apps and websites out there to help you, and in fact, we have a whole list of them linked in the video description below, but we're going to show you our 5 favorites and tell you a little bit about how they work. First up, we have Poshmark. Now, Poshmark is both an app and a website, and the cool part is that you can buy and sell on either one, so if you're not really an app person, that's okay. We just like the app ourselves because it makes the whole photo taking and uploading process a little bit simpler and more streamlined, and their app actually has a really great and easy user interface, unlike some other ones. So once you take your photos, you're going to start by uploading them and then going through the listing and just filling out as much information as you can, noting that a lot of the fields are going to be required before you can list it. Now, another great thing about Poshmark is that there's no limit here as to what you can sell. You can do children's clothes, women's clothes, men's, footwear, designer items, vintage items, jewelry, pretty much whatever. However, they do take a 30% cut once the item sells, so their price is a little bit higher than some of the other sites and definitely higher than the other ones we're going to be talking about here today. However, if you're not super concerned about the price that you're getting for your items and you just want a really good chance that they're going to sell, Poshmark's a great platform because it does have a huge user base, and it also has a really interesting bargain feature that makes it really easy to kind of strike that right price between buyers and sellers. So basically, a buyer can make an offer which the seller can then either reject, accept, or counter until you reach a price that's agreeable to everyone. Next on our list, we have Etsy. Now, you've no doubt heard of Etsy. It's a global marketplace featuring hundreds of thousands of global small businesses, crafters, and artists, and it's one of our favorite places to find absolutely anything from handmade home decor to natural beauty products. But did you know that it's also an amazing place to buy and sell used clothes? Especially if those clothes are unique in some way, as in rare, vintage, bespoke, or upcycled. So apart from what I do with Sustainable Jungle, I'm actually an Etsy seller myself, and while clothing is not the focus of my Etsy shop, I have sold some upcycled Sienna type clothing on here from time to time, and I've had really great luck whenever I have. Now, the biggest downside to Etsy is that it's going to have the highest startup time investment, since it's not just a matter of making an account, but actually opening a full-on storefront. So you're going to have to create a name, a logo, and all that jazz. But they do have a massive global audience and some of the lowest fees out there, which come to just shy of 10% after everything. So it is really worth it if you are willing to put in that initial startup effort, especially if reselling clothing is something that you plan on doing a lot of. It's absolutely worth it. And once your shop is set up, creating a listing is actually really simple. There's a lot of different options, but Etsy's really great about walking you through it, so it's not particularly difficult. Just like other ones, you're going to create your title, you're going to add up to 10 photos, a description, a price, a quantity, and then some of these other things you're just do category tags to help it be found, materials, so what it's made out of, and then you're going to create your shipping options. And that's pretty much really all there is to each actual listing process on Etsy. At number 3 on our list, we have Depop. Now, for any fellow millennials out there, you may feel a bit lost on Depop, but Zoomers will be right at home on this hip and happening Instagram meets thrift store platform. Not sure what that means? We'll show you. So as you can see, it's giving very Instagram vibes, the idea being that it's not just a resale platform, but a social network for you to show off what you're selling by encouraging creative photography and modeling. So it's closet cleaning with a little bit of a creative twist. And you'll start by setting up your account, which is accessible via a really handy selling hub. So I've never personally actually used Depop of all of these sites, but this is what it would look like if I had. You would see any of the items that I'd sold, any of the items that I am selling here. So setting up an account is super easy. It took me less than 5 minutes to create this, and then after that you're just going to create your listings, which takes just about as much effort as a well-captioned Instagram post. You're going to add your photos, your description, just a few characteristics about the item, and then you're going to post it when you're done. And once your item finally sells, Depop is only going to take a 10% cut of that final selling price. Now, because Depop targets a younger audience, you'll have the best success saving this site for truly on-trend and unique items. For instance, if you're big into thrift flipping and upcycling or reworking vintage clothing, you'll find a huge demand for that sort of stuff on Depop. And next up, we have Thredup. Now, if you're doing a total closet clean out and really don't want to mess around with creating individual listings for everything you're getting rid of, which can be really time consuming, so we get it, And so does Thredup, which is why they make it super easy. So the way it works is you go to the Thredup website, you sign up and create an account, and then you just order your free closet cleanout kit. Once that bag arrives, you're going to load it up with all of the duds that you don't want, send it back, and let Thredup take care of the rest. That means they're going to photograph your items, list your items, and then pay you once they sell. Now, there are two downsides to Thredup. The first being that they specialize only in women's and children's clothes. So sorry guys, you're out of luck on this one. The second is that the payout and consignment windows vary massively depending on the brand, demand, and quality. So as you can see here, depending on the final selling price of the item, you're going to net anywhere from just 3% all the way up to 80%. Now, fortunately, they do have this really handy payout calculator here. It's not exact, but it'll at least kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at and what your items are going to be worth. So say we were to put in a popular in-demand brand like Patagonia, and say, we have a jacket we want to get rid of. It's going to tell you what your consignment window is, and it's also going to show you other similar items that have sold in recent history and what they sold for and what the person received of that final sale price. Now, if we were to put in, say, a low-grade fast fashion brand like Shein, you're going to see that it tells you it is not eligible for payout. And it's not the only brand like this. So if you go to this list, you're going to notice a lot of these fast fashion brands are on here. Forever 21, H&M, they're not going to take any of these. So if Thredup doesn't even want them, that should tell you a little something about the quality of these items to begin with. And we say that's yet another reason not to shop at these brands if you don't have to. We'll link to that brand list in the description below. Now, a brand not being on this list is no guarantee that they're going to necessarily accept it, because they do also take into consideration condition and trendiness of your items, but it's a good start. But on that note, you are going to want to make sure that everything you're sending is in good, wearable condition to Thredup, because if it has any major flaws to it, they're not going to accept it. So for instance, jeans like this with giant holes in the knees, these would be a no-go on Thredup. Now, it's really important to check these lists and make sure you're only sending items that you think they'll take, because you won't get any of those rejected items back. But for those who are concerned with just the simplicity or simply freeing up closet space, this is a minimal effort method. Plus, you can feel good knowing that Thredup will responsibly recycle any rejected garments on your behalf. And last, but certainly not least, we have eBay, aka the OG of resale websites. While I've used every one of these sites except for Depop on this list at one point or another, eBay is absolutely the one that I've used the most over the years, simply because it has a massive user base and a global reach. And if you own a lot of more niche clothing items, for me, that happens to be technical outdoor clothing and gear, eBay is the best way to get your items seen by the biggest audience of those looking for that exact same type of thing. Like all the others on our list, eBay works via both an app and a website, as we have pulled up here, and it takes about a 10 to 13% cut depending on the category of the item you're selling, which even within clothing can kind of differ just depending on a few different factors. The listing process on eBay is unfortunately a little bit more of a headache than some of these other ones, just because there are so many different options, required things that you have to input, optional things that you can input. So it can be really overwhelming when you're not used to it, but kind of once you do know what you need to do and what you don't, it's not too bad. So you're going to do your photos up top, you're going to do your required things, any additional things you want to list about the item. You're going to put the description again here, where you can kind of go a little bit more in depth about the item, any flaws, etc. You're going to do the price. This is kind of an important feature on eBay, is you can either set buy it now or auction. So an auction, we all know how the eBay auction function works, where people can bid starting with your lowest bid price. Whereas buy it now, you can do an actual price that people can buy outright, and you can also set a minimum offer so people can make offers on it, but they can't make offers lower than that. So that's a pretty nice function. Then you're just going to set your shipping information based on the package weight and dimensions and list your item. That wraps up our list of our 5 favorite online resale platforms, but before we leave you to the listing, we wanted to close with a few quick tips to heighten your chances of success on any one of these platforms, no matter what you choose. Number 1, make sure your clothes are clean and in good condition. If there are any flaws, like this, be really specific about noting and photographing them. Trust us when we say that the whole return process and dealing with a disappointed buyer who received something other than what they expected just isn't fun for anybody involved. So it's best to be 100% transparent from the jump. Number 2, include measurements of your garments. Now, none of these sites are going to require this, but it's really helpful for buyers. Ladies especially know how absolutely bonkers women's sizing is. So if you don't include these, chances are you're going to get messages asking for them anyway. So it's best if you just include them right from the start. Next, be sure to take lots lots of photos. Imagine yourself buying the item. What sort of angles and details would you want to see? And while you're at it, be sure to take them in natural lighting as well. This will ensure that the color of the garment is best reflected in the photo. It's happened to us in the past where we've taken photos, sent the item, everything about it was technically correct, but the buyer was disappointed because the color wasn't quite what they thought it was going to be in the photos. And last, model the item if you feel comfortable. This one is totally optional, and I've had great success selling a lot of things without modeling them, but it's definitely appreciated by buyers, especially for more fit-specific garments like dresses. And there you have it, a quick and dirty guide to cleaning out your closet for cash. Again, there's a lot more where this came from, linked in the description below, and if we missed out on any of your favorite resale sites, drop us a note in the comments and tell us why they're your favorites. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos like this to help you live a more circular, low-impact life, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Once again, I'm Amber from SJ. Happy selling, everyone.